Hi friends, it's Becky and I've got an unboxing for you today. I've already unboxed it by the way. It's out. But this is the Curated Collections from Beads to Live By. They are a subscription. There's two different subscriptions that I subscribe to from them. One is the seed bead subscription and the other is the 2-hole bead subscription. And it was just a little bit delayed and that's perfectly fine. It was just a little hiccup with the subscription processing. It skipped me for some reason this month. But I have to say, I have always had the best customer service from Cassandra at Beads to Live By. So when I reached out to her, I was like, hey, did I get skipped for May? She made everything right. I was able to pay for my subscription and she got it right into the mail for me with a little note. And I appreciate that. But now I have my beads and look at these guys. They are so bright and colorful and cheerful. This is a fantastic colorway. Now the curated collections are curated so that all the beads go together, because I don't know about you guys, but I love having beads picked out for me that are gonna go together. And so like the fact that Cassandra's got such a good eye for which colors will go with what just makes it a real treat every time I get this. And I love bright colors too. So like when she does brights, she does brights. So we've got these guys in here. Now the seed bead subscription has 4 different sizes of seed beads. You've got your 15 O's, 11 O's, 8 O's, and 6 O's. And I'll get up close. We'll get up right up into this paint palette that I've put them in as soon as we're done with that. And then the 2-hole beads, there's 5 different selections there. You've got, recently, we've been getting these shapes. We've got ginkgos, rulla beads, these mini chevrons, and we'll look at those in more detail in a little bit. Some Czech glass tile beads, they're 2-hole tile beads, and then some Czech glass bar beads. And these have changed a little bit. Last year we had some different 2-hole beads that we were getting, and they were great. We also only got 11 O seed beads in last year's subscriptions, but she made some changes, and I love it because it just gives us more variety, some different things to play around with, and some different things to make things with. So let's get up close and take a look at each of these beads under the lights and zoomed in so we can see what we're looking at. So these are both the 15 O seed beads right here. Over here we've got this luster finish, like kind of a goldenrod kind of a color. It's this really yellow. It's not like a bright yellow, but it is just very much like I said, goldenrod kind of a color. And then we've got these. These are lined with that hot pink lining. I don't know if you can see a little bit closer. So it's kind of clear matte glass, and then it's got that hot pink lining on it. And it is so bright, y'all. It is bright, and I love it. It might not be for everybody, but I love that. And then these are our 11 O seed beads. We've got this opaque, it's kind of like a turquoise. It's like a light turquoise color for one of our seed beads, and it's especially right next to the pink. I think my color corrector on my camera is not giving you as much green in this blue. It looks like a baby blue, I think, on camera, but it's definitely a turquoise. It's got more green in it. Almost minty, almost. And then we've got this. Usually we get at least one neutral color, something that will tone things down, something that will draw things together and hold things together. And for us on this one, our neutral color is this dark colored glass with, it looks like an olive finish. And then for our 8 O seed beads, we have a translucent frosted, this is also turquoise, but it's like a dark turquoise. Like we had our bright turquoise up here, and we've got dark turquoise down here. And I think it's one of those colors that's really hard to capture on camera. unfortunately, but it's gorgeous in person, trust me. And then this is kind of it's not really an orange, it's more of a coral color because it's got some pinkiness to it, as well as that orange color, but it is silver lined for that one. And then we've got another silver lined offering here on our 6O seed beads, and it's this really buttery yellow color. It's gorgeous and it makes me want buttered popcorn. And then we've got another turquoise color. We've got like 3 different shades of turquoise. Like this is more turquoise, this is light turquoise, and this is like dark, deep turquoise. So we've got all of those colors, and those are our seed beads. And then we've got our 2-hole beads. We've got some ginkgos, and ginkgos are such a fun shape to work with. And this one looks like it is like a maybe an opal glass with this speckly yellow finish on it. Looks really cool. And then we've got a light blue glass for our mini chevrons and I always get confused between what a Picasso finish is and what a travertine finish is. It's got one of those. And then we've got some dark aqua colored rulla beads, and these rulla beads have a gold, is it gold or copper? I think it's a gold finish on just half of it, so you get that half and half effect with those. And then, like I said, we've got our 2-hole bar beads, and these are in a really pretty jonquil color, light yellow. And then our matte turquoise, sorry, these are tile beads, and they're different size and thicker than Miyuki Tilas. So some designs that might work with Tilas, these might be a little too big or bulky for them, but for a lot of other designs that you just need a square shape for, they're fantastic for that in there. So those are our guys. Let me just show you what the holes look like. You can see what the holes are like for these, the bar beads and all of that, but let me just show you. I grabbed a little thing so I can show you how the holes go on these 2-hole beads. The ginkgos go through like that. The mini chevron, the holes run through like this. And the rulla beads, they just go through like, if it's a cylinder, so it's like it goes through the sides of the can or something. So that is the Curated Collections, and I'm kind of glad that it was a little bit delayed, because otherwise I would have unboxed it and I wouldn't have had a chance to tell y'all that there is a little design challenge going on at the Beads in Progress Facebook group. That is the Facebook group for Beads to Live By. And in that, Cassandra made a post with the challenge details about it, where if you make a beaded bead using some 2-hole beads from the Curated Collection, and you reply to that post with a piece of jewelry, whether it's earrings or a bracelet or something that you use that beaded bead in, that counts as an entry in the design contest. You have to be subscribed to the YouTube channels for Deb Floros and Beads to Live By in order to be eligible to enter that. And I'm glad that they mentioned that, because I see Deb so much in my feed on my YouTube channel, like the algorithm just knows, that I thought I was already subscribed to her channel. So I went over and I subscribed today. I was like, well, you know what? I need to get a little more Deb in my life, I think. So I did that. And I think one of the things that I used to do when I did my unboxings was I used to do a little bit of making with the beads. I do like a simple or easy design usually during my unboxings, and I think what I want to do is make some 2-hole beads with these with y'all. And then I found this little piece of Silversilk. It was just right on my desk, actually. It's a Silversilk leather chain, and I think this is the limoncello color, but like, y'all, look how perfectly it goes with this. So I'm gonna make a little bracelet with some 2-hole beads that I am going to make with y'all. So if all you wanted was the unboxing, you're done. You don't have to stick around, but if you want to watch me make some 2-hole beads, then stick around because I'm gonna do that. And I think I want to do some 2-hole beads with these tile beads. So I'm gonna grab some of these off of here. And there's tutorials that Deb has done, like she did a live with Cassandra and made some 2-hole beads with her there. So there's some other types of 2-hole beads that you could use besides the one that I'm going to be doing with you. And also Cassandra's done some beaded bead tutorials as well. So let's see, I've got some of these guys off of there. Let me grab a few of these as well because I want to use, yeah, let's get some of the, no, not those, maybe? Let's try them out with that. Okay, so I'm gonna get some of those, some of these rullas. I'm just gonna do a few beaded beads, I think. Just a few of them, some of them. We'll see how they work out. Maybe some rullas, some of these tilas. I'm gonna grab some of these. These are the 6/0 seed beads. And like with seed beads, the smaller the number, the bigger the bead. So like a 15/0 is the smallest one, a 6/0 is the largest in this subscription. I think I want to try some of these with the tile beads too. Let's get some of these out. I think this is going to be great. Okay, so I'm just going to make a few of these. Let's get some thread. I've got this just sitting on my desk. I think it's going to work just fine. It's some dragon thread. Any beading thread will probably work. I'm going to go ahead and just cut off a bit of it. If I finish one and I want to move on to the next one, I just won't have to thread a needle again. Speaking of needles, how about, let's see, I'm not going to be doing any wiggling things through things, so I think just one of these wide eye needles will work. All right. Yeah. All right. So wide eye needle, putting this thread through. And wide eye needles are great because it doesn't take much to get those on there. So let's get two of these bar beads, and let me actually move some of these things out of the way a little bit so that they are not distracting for the camera. And let's scooch in as well. That'll help clear away some of the camera distractions so we can get in closer. So I've just gone through one hole on each of these beads, and I'm going to scooch this down to close to the end, but not quite the end. I'm just going to hold this in my fingers while I do this next part. I'm going to pick up, I'm coming out of this second bead here. This one's just going to hang out down here. I'm going to pick up one of these 6/0 seed beads, and I'm going to go right down into that next hole in that bar bead. Just like that. So that it's just sitting there on that, and this guy's right next to it. Now I'm going to pick up another of the bar beads, and the bar beads don't have like a front and a back or a top and a bottom, so it doesn't matter which hole I go in for this. And that's going to be right next to it, like that. I'm going to pick up another 6/0 seed bead and go through that next hole. And see this first one that I went through? I'm going to go through the stranded or unstrung hole on that one to make a little triangle with my bar beads that has these 6/0s on the outside. See, I'm still holding on to this so that it is not going anywhere. Now I want to add another 6/0 and go through here. Come on, buddy. I'm gonna lay this down because I think it will be easier for us to like that. So where am I coming out of? Okay, so I'm coming out of that one. I'm gonna want to come up through, just follow the thread path through that next bar bead. And then go through this 6/0. Whoa! What happened to you? Oh, that's what happens to you. It pulled that right off of there. And the how though? Literally how? Oh, it must have been, you know what? I'm gonna go through all of these again. Just for reinforcement's sake. So that we're not gonna go through all of these. So you don't have these because they're gonna get reinforced, but I don't want it to go flying just because I accidentally caught my thread on one of the pliers on my desk, like it just happened just now. So go through the 6/0 and then the bar beads. Y'all, I gotta move these pliers further away. I thought they were like well out of the way and they are not. All right, let's go through all of them. The edge of my beadboard. So many things to catch my thread on. But yeah, I'll put links to this challenge that Cassandra announced today. I'll put those in my description below. I'll also put a link to the Beads to Live By website where I think it's until June 1st. I may be wrong on the date. I'll have to double check that. I'll also put that in the description. The Curated Collections 2-hole beads are on sale. So if you don't subscribe and you want to participate in that channel or that challenge, you totally can. You can go buy some of the 2-hole beads and you can make some beaded beads with me or with Deb or with Cassandra. And we can do it that way. So where are you going, friends? All right, I've got these guys. They're kind of blend in with the mat a little bit. I don't know if that's great. This has a white background and I think that's going to show up a lot better against a white background. There we go. There we go. That's so much better. Okay. Yep. All right, white background is going to be so much easier for us to see that color because it's my bead mat was about the same color as those beads. So they were gone. All right, so where are we? I've gone around twice. Well, once to put these guys on, once to reinforce, and now I'm coming out of that first 6-0 that I put on. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through another bar bead. I'm going to totally pick up a new one and put it on here. And get a knot in my thread, because of course I am, and then work my knot out. All right, so I'm going to want, now that I've gone through this bead here, I'm going to pick up another bar bead, I'm going to go through this hole, going to find the hole, and then I'm going to go through this 6-0. So I'm just going through the 6-0s when I add my bar bead, like that. See, so I've got my 2 bar beads there. Now that I've gone through this 6-0, I'm going to flip this bar bead over here, and go through this second hole, this one right here. That was the second one that I had added. I'm trying to do it here so that it stays where you guys can see, but also because if I'm holding it, it's going to be a little more difficult for it to stay in its position. There we go. All right, so now the next thing is I'm going to pick up another bar bead, because it's going to go over this second one here and through that 6-0. Then I'm going to sew through this end of this bar bead, and let's flip this guy over real quick. I'm just going to flip him over so that that hole is close to where I want to go through. So I'm going to go through this guy and that guy. That was the first one that we added after we finished our first triangle. All right, and now I'm going to go through that 6-0. I'm going to go around one more time, and maybe eventually I'm going to stop catching my thread on things on my desk. I'm not having a great time about that right now. But yeah, I'm going to go through all of those one more time. Just reinforcing. And I'm going to go through here, so that I can meet up with the end of this thread. I'm just going to tie a knot. Why is this not zapping? Does it take a minute? This is not melting. Well, this is not my favorite tool then. I'm gonna have to try a different type of thread zapper. Or just go back to my lighters, because those always work until you run out of lighter fluid, and then they don't work. I had an electric lighter that worked great, except it made a noise that my dog hated. She would just like, I would use it and she would just get up and go hide under the bed or something. So that is one type of beaded bead, and I'm just going to double check that it's going to fit on here. Ooh, it does. All right, I can make more after this. Let me grab the other ones that I wanted to make. I'm going to do one that's sort of similar to that, but using the tile beads and these yellow 6/0s. I'm just moving some of these guys out of the way so that we can have that. So let's take one of these tile beads and a 6/0 and a tile bead and a 6/0. And let's just get 3 tile beads and 3 6/0s on here. Scooch them down almost to the end of our thread. Let's leave a little bit of a tail for finishing, enough that we can tie a knot with it. And then go back through all of those one more time, because we are just going to close that up in a circle. Make sure you hold on to your tail thread when you do this. All right, so now I've got my little triangle here. Go through this tila again, and then I'm going to jump down to the outside hole of this tila, and I'm going to go from this tila, or not tila, tile bead, directly into the next tile bead here, and this one. And then through this tile bead on this next one. So I'm just adding tile beads in between my tile beads. And one more right in here. And then now that I've gone through that, I'm going to go through that first tile bead that I added for my second row, because I had my first row and I just sewed through those when I added those, and then jump up to that next row. And now between each of these tile beads, I'm going to put another 6-0. So I'm going to pick up a 6-0 and sew into that second hole of that next tile bead on that round. And then pull all of them a little bit more tightly. I'm gonna have to tighten all of these up, I think. Pick up another 6-0, go through that second hole for this one, pick up another 6-0 and go through the second hole of this tile bead. And everything is loosey-goosey. So let's see if we can't tighten these things up just a little bit more. For my little beaded bead. It's a little bit of a checkerboard, but not really. All right, I'm gonna go through all of these beads another time to tighten things up through all of these rows. Okay. I'm gonna jump down here to this next hole. This is the round that I'm going through just the tile beads. So tile bead, tile bead. You guys are moving too much. Tile bead. This is the row that needs the reinforcement the most, I think. I might go through this another time after this pass as well. Tile bead. Unless tile bead, tile bead. I'm just going through this all one more time. Because I want these guys to snug up next to each other a little bit better. Okay. And now for this one, I'm gonna jump up here to this next row. This is also the first row that I started with. I'm just gonna tighten all these guys up and then get my thread over here next to my tail thread. After we go through all of these, we're just making beaded beads, y'all. Just making some beaded beads. Whoop. Going through all of these one more time. Make a little knot. You know what? I can burn down the edges afterwards because I've got one more beaded bead that I want to make with y'all tonight. After I do this one, got some long edges, but see, now I've got a little hole here in the middle that this will definitely fit onto my Silversilk. All right, I'll get some more thread because I have just about run out of this. And then for this next one, I want to use these rullas. I think I want to do one that's very similar to this type of beaded bead, but instead of the 6/0s along the outsides, I'm going to do see if 11/0 is the right size for this. It's entirely possible that I'm going to want to add the 15/0s to this. I do 15, 11/0, 15 along the outside. That might look really cool. I still have that other thread, so I'm just going to test this before I start putting these together and see if I like the 15/0 better or the 15/0, 11/0, 15/0. This is trial and error is how you do jewelry design with bead weaving. Okay, yeah, it's gonna need a couple of extra guys on the sides, so let's grab out the 15/0s and just see how I like the look of that. And I think since this is all blues and yellows, I'm gonna go with the yellow 15/0s, these goldenroddy colors. All right, so the rulla bead, beaded bead, is going to be a little bit different. I thought I was going to be making one that was a lot more like this, but rulla beads don't behave the same way. So this is the solution I came up with. So full confession, I stopped the video, I figured it all out, and now I'm going to show you how I made it. And basically, I'm just picking up 6 rulla beads, just going through one of their holes. It doesn't matter which way they go. I mean, if you want to all line them up so that they have the same side facing right or the same side facing left, you can. I'm not bothering with that, but I'm going to move all these down, not all the way to the end, but close enough that there's enough tail that I can tie it off with afterwards. And I'm going to go through all of these beads one more time in the same hole that we went through before. We're just making a big circle with our thread so that we can tighten this up. And I'm going to go 2 beads away from where my starting thread was, just so that I have it a little bit more out of the way when I'm working with this. All right, now this is going to be easier if we rotate these before we start adding our 11/0s and 15/0s. So I'm going to take this one that's next to where mine's coming out of. I'm just going to rotate it so it's pointing up that way. And then I'm going to skip the one after that and rotate the one over. So it's like every other one is going to be pointed or rotating in the opposite direction from the first one. So that we've got one that's sticky outy and one that's not sticky outy on all of these, like that. Just every other one. So 3 up, 3 down. All right, now where I'm coming out of the hole on this one, I'm going to jump up to the second hole right there. so that I'm coming out of it. And then I'm going to pick up an 11-0, sorry, a 15-0, an 11-0, and a 15-0. And I'm going to sew into the next sticky outy or pokey uppy guy. So I'm coming out of this one. I'm skipping that next one because it's pointing down. This is why I turned them up, is to make it so much easier to do this. And it's easier to do it now than after we've sewn through some of these, or in the middle of it, since they have to rotate around and they might get in the way of it. And I'm going to pick up another 15-0, 11-0, and 15-0. And I'm going to go from this sticky outy guy to the next sticky outy guy. This is an official term, right? And then I've just got this space between this sticky outy guy and this one. So, picking up a 15-0, an 11-0, and a 15-0. And that closes that circle, like that. I'm going to go ahead and sew into that next group of seed beads, and then into that next rulla. So I'm trying to hold this thread out of the way. So into that next rulla, but I'm not going to sew all the way around. You can reinforce if you want to. I don't think I really need to with these particular beads. So now I'm coming out of this, I guess, second hole, not the one that's in the center. I'm going to jump down here to the center hole and then sew through the next rulla bead, one that's right next to it, one that my thread is coming out of. Just that one bead. And if I turn this over, now I've got 3 more sticky outy beads that don't have beads between them. So I'm going to go up to that second hole on this bead. Rotate this guy back where I want him to be. And do the same thing. I'm going to pick up my 15-0, 11-0, 15-0. I think this one is actually my favorite one of all of the ones that I'm making with y'all today. And I'm going to sew through that next sticky outy guy. And I'm going to do it again. Watch me. I'll do it again. Here we go. Can't stop me. Nobody can stop me. There we go. And then the last one, I'm just going to fill in this space here between this sticky outy guy and this sticky outy guy. With my 15-0, 11-0, and 15-0. All right. Beautiful. Just sewing through the next couple of seed beads in that row so that I can be coming out of this next hole in this rulla bead. And I want to jump down to that center row and move my thread over to where my starting thread, my tail thread is coming out, and then I can tie it off and burn down my edges, and I will have a beaded bead with a nice little hole right there in the middle. I'm going to give this a little tug to tighten it. Remember, when you pull on the thread, not on your needle. Pro tip. So let's get this tied off. So I made 3 different kinds of beaded beads tonight. We started with the bar beads with some 6/0s, and then the tile beads with more of the 6/0s, and then the rulla beads I did with 15/0s and 11/0s. I'm just gonna burn down this end. Oop, there it goes. And I made a couple more while the camera was off so we could go ahead and make this bracelet and get it all finished up on camera. So let's scooch out a little bit. This is the bead board that I brought over because it had a white background and you'd be able to see these beads a lot easier. So I'm just going to be piling these guys on here. I made 4 of the rulla bead beads. Like I said, I think they are my favorites. And then 2 of our triangle bar bead beaded beads. And I've got my big old tile bead right there in the center. All right, let's center this on this Silversilk. Let me go grab some findings for this. I could swear I got some gold findings, but you know what? These rulla beads, some of them are shining like copper. So I think these shiny copper ends are going to be just perfect for this. All right, so the Silversilk leather chain is some leather cord with some wire knitted around it. It's just got a fancy sweater on, that's all. And there you can put glue in end caps, fold over bead end caps, any way that you would normally finish leather cord. You would do the same thing with this, but they do at Silversilk, they make these findings. They've got a little lip in here, and it's usually you can use these for either the leather chain, like I'm going to here, or for the capture chain, which is ball chain with a fancy sweater. So I was just expanding that out so that it'll fit on here a little bit better. I'm gonna have this SS pointing out on the outside of the curve. You can just get that guy wedged in as much as you can, and then use some pliers to close the gap. I like to give a little tug to make sure that it's secure. And that one's secure, so let's do this one on this side and then attach some findings. They have the little loop on the end so you can attach findings like hold on, maybe I will use a toggle clasp. Do I have a copper colored toggle clasp? Because that would be really cool, I think. No, why don't I have copper toggles? That feels wrong to me. Well, I know what I'm going to need to go shopping for next. Copper toggles. That's all right. I've got lobster clasps. I was just getting some jump rings. All right, guys. I was getting ahead of myself. I hadn't even finished putting this on yet. There you go. Got a little dangly bit. There's a teeny tiny piece of wire sticking out there. I just need to clip it. There we go. So I'm just going to open up my jump ring, put on my lobster clasp, and then open up my jump ring. Put on another ring. Now I have my bracelet with my beaded beads that I made using the, come on buddy. This is the May Curated Collection from Beads to Live By. Like I said, it was a little bit late. It usually gets to me much earlier in the month, but there was just a little snafu with the billing. Like the subscription thing was like, oh, she doesn't want any this month, I guess. But yeah, so there we go. And yep, they are having a little competition. Again, it is, the Facebook group is Beads in Progress. And I'll put a link to that in the description. I'll put a link to the curated collections over at Beads to Live By. And where you can get these 2-hole beads, like I said, I think it's 10% until the 1st of June. So you can stock up and get more of these if you want to. There we go. I had, what's the other strand? Oh. You are way over there, mister. More of these tile beads all over the place there. But yeah, I hope this was fun to get into it right when I got it. Yeah, I've been looking forward to it for most of the month. So that is pretty fun. Anyway, let me know if you guys want to do some 2-hole beaded beads with me. Jump on over to the Facebook group if you want to participate in that challenge. And happy beading! Bye!